Hello, everybody. Good to be with you. So, I wrote a post last night for the website, awakeningclaritynow.com, and uh, called Why Can't I Wake Up? And it's, of course, something that I hear a lot. Why can't I wake up, Fred? And also, I woke up years ago, and why and then something happened. I held my mouth wrong or something, and I don't know. I don't know who I am anymore. I did know, but I don't know. And why can I not get back to the clarity that I once experienced? So, to be perfectly candid with you, the reason that you can't wake up, whether you've had an awakening experience or before or you haven't, the reason you're not awake right now, or you don't feel like you're awake right now, the reason you cannot wake up is because you're already awake. Honest to God. Just pretend like I'm telling you the truth. Just pretend like I don't have a reason to, and I don't think actually I do have a reason why I would come on to YouTube and tell you anything but the truth as I know it. So I'm pretty much motiveless to tell you an untruth, but nonetheless, you don't have to believe me. You can just pretend like I'm telling you the truth. But at least do that because you'll pay attention. When I say that you're already awake, it feels like if what's here in that, I'm sure, is a personality in the same way that you project a personality over here. You see a Fred, see, but I don't see a Fred. I can't find a Fred, and I've looked for decades. And there's no Fred here, but you see one, and you think that like if I'm in session with somebody, and if it's an awakening session, they've never met me, we come together, and the woman's name is Bonnie, then Bonnie assumes the Bonnie character, whatever it is that client, let's just call her the client. The client assumes that I'm looking at Bonnie, but I'm not looking at Bonnie. I'm never looking at Bonnie. And I'm never looking at a Fred, and I'm never looking at a you or this or that. The truth is that I'm always looking at myself. That's all I can see. And I say that's all I can see because that's all there is. See, I'm awakeness, and that's all there is, which means that you have to also be awakeness. There's only one clarity. There's no Fred's clarity and there's no your clarity. These two separate clarities. There's no plural for clarity. There is only clarity. There is only one clarity, and that clarity or the failure of clarity is due to the thing that awakeness is coming through. It's not due to awakeness itself. Awakeness is always here, always clear. Doesn't need Fred Davis to straighten it out. But it is. But the filtering system that these bodies represent, that ain't clear. I mean, I can't even, and I'm a spiritual teacher, been awake for over a decade, and what I hear, and I can't tell you uh, the truth. I can tell you something that's very kin to the truth. I can give you the truth as language will work with me to share it with you. But I can't tell you the actual truth because the truth is, the other truth is that this body, the Fred character, the Fred conditioning is keeping, it's filtering out some of the truth. And let's just say that there's, let's give me a big number. Let's say there's 85% clarity over here and 15% Fredness. Okay, there's still certainly some Fredness here. I don't actually have any idea what the number is, but it's reasonably low. Nonetheless, there's Fredness here, and that Fredness inhibits truth. It is friction. The Fredness is fiction for the truth. See, awakeness will inhabit whatever Fred vacates. But whatever it is that I am, I have to be willing to vacate the premises. I have to be willing to give up on the idea that I'm one thing in order to see what I am as the real thing. Okay? So what does this all have to do with you being awake? Well, hell, I'm awakeness, right? And you and I are the same thing. You're awakeness. You can say this. You can stand up and say, I am the one thing going on. And you will be telling the truth if you are referring to yourself as awakeness. And it's a complete lie if you were referring to yourself as a single egoic being. There's no ego that is the center of there's no center period, but there's no ego that is the that's the all important one, right? That is the only one. That's not that doesn't hold true for individuals, but I'm not an individual. I'm really not. And guess what? The thing that over there that thinks it's an individual isn't. Okay? The very thing that thinks it's an individual is the light of awareness. And it's not that you're actually thinking. Awakeness doesn't think, but awakeness is identifying. It is essentially believing a lie. Awakeness is identifying with the body. You probably, again, your body over there. I woke up a guy yesterday, and I helped him, guy in California, and I helped him see through some amazing things for him, which was, he was talking about his body, and I asked him if he had one. If he was sure he had one, and I asked him if that one was his, right? And we went into that level of inquiry. It's the deeper inquiry. It's the inquiry behind normal inquiry. It's the inquiry underneath normal inquiry. Because who am I? Who am I? Who am I? If Fred is asking that, Fred can ask that until he's blue in the face, and nothing will happen. Now, it can, because it can, if you, just like with japa or something else, you do anything repetitively, then it can, the awakening can certainly come in from that. That was the vehicle for my first awakening back in 1992. It was a big glimpse, just a glimpse. It was short, but very deep. And I had been going around and asking, who's running the vacuum cleaner, who's walking across the kitchen, who's picking up the bread, who's making a sandwich, and did the same thing at work, and driving and eating and everything else. And I had gone through a month of this thousands and thousands of times. I couldn't possibly do it now, but I had this hyper enthusiasm to awaken. I had been reading the 3 Pillars of Zen again, and they were pushing those students, and that's what I was doing. I was pushing this student, and an awakening occurred. So it can happen, but I wouldn't bet the ranch on it. Number one is, are you going to be able to sustain that level of inquiry? It blows my mind that I was able to do that. I mean, I was drinking at the time. I was a functioning alcoholic, and yet I was still able to maintain that inquiry even when I was in my cups. And no, I wasn't in my cups when I woke up. So when I woke up in 1992, I woke up to the fact what woke up was not the thing that wanted to wake up. The thing that, actually it was deep down, but it wasn't what appeared to want to wake up. Because what I really wanted, what Fred really wanted, Fred wanted an enlightened Fred. Fred wanted Fred to wake up. See? That would just be so nice, because then I'd have an enlightened Fred, and surely everybody would love an enlightened Fred, and I probably wouldn't have to work anymore or have any more troubles in my life ever again. I went with that kind of projection, and which is not true. And but I woke up to the fact that there's no Fred. So, and it did not end up with an enlightened Fred. I ended up with enlightenment, but it wasn't Fred's. I ended up with the occurrence of an an awakening, but that awakening wasn't Fred's. See, there's something here that's talking to you right now, and I know what it looks like, and I know what it sounds like, and I know what it will feel like for most of you. Is that there's a Fred here, but there's really, really, really not. There's actually only awakeness, and it was that awakeness that woke up. But it didn't really wake up because it's awakeness itself. Awakeness is not a quality of awakeness. Awakeness is what awakeness is, and this brightness, this attention, that is awakeness's essence. In the same way that sugar is, that sweet is the essence of sugar, tart is the essence of lemon, and awareness is the essence of awareness. I don't want to say it's a trait, because if you are awareness, how can you have awareness as a trait? But in terms of languaging, which it can be very confusing, I say that awareness is aware. Okay? That sounds like the stupidest thing ever, doesn't it? Awareness is aware. Well, of course it is. But the one who thinks, oh, I get it, or I don't get it, or what's he saying, that's awakeness. And you're already awake. But I want you to understand is that awakeness, which you are, and cannot not be awake. That is what it is. That's not what it does. It's what it is. So awakeness, by nature, cannot not be awake. But that doesn't mean that it's clear. It's awake, but if it's clouded over, if it's not clear, and it isn't but in very few places on our planet, the numbers are pretty good for enlightened beings, but the percentages are abysmal, right? So the awakeness can't not be awake, but it doesn't mean that it's conscious. That's what I mean by clear. Actually, clear and conscious are two different things, but there's awakeness can reside, so to speak, in two states. There can be conscious awakeness or unconscious awakeness. And where I was prior to what I was prior to awakening was unconscious awakeness. And what I was after awakening was conscious awakeness. There's no fundamental difference, but the experience is hugely different. Because, see, the experience of being awake and not knowing it is identical to the experience of not being awake. Like, my neighbor over there they're awake. How do I know? Because they're awakeness. They're the same thing I am. They can't not be awake. And if this sounds like I'm splitting hairs, trust me, I'm not, because the living method works on the theory. Well, that's not the theory. It works on the fact that there's just one thing going on, and that when a unit, when a client or student is telling me, I need you to wake me up, it's the one who's talking doesn't actually exist as a separate human being, as a separate, isolated being. There's only a oneness. So when a oneness says, I need you to wake me up, then I work from the fact that oneness is oneness in manifestation, unmanifested when it's not. But oneness, we're not everywhere, but here we're using oneness and the unmanifested as opposites, but they're not really, but we'll use it as opposites right now. So it's the knowing that I am awakeness. That's what awakening is coming to know that what you are, the thing that's hearing this voice right now, is not only awake, it's awakeness itself. See? It's like the Hindu scriptures talk about this thing, not that which hears, but that by which hearing occurs, something like that, and it goes through the different senses, because it's and each one of the time it does it in the Upanishads. I don't remember which one, and every time that it's making that statement, it's repeating the same thing. It's saying, you are not the body, you are not the body, you are not the body. You think you're the body. And if the body thinks that it can wake up, and the body didn't really think, the character that inhabits the character, the make-believe character that you believe you are, which you also believe is and it was associated with that body, and that is that body, then you think you need to wake up, but you can't. I can go into this in a little more detail in the post than I can here. So I recommend when I'm done here that you go and read the post. Why can't I wake up? And when you do that, if you go to the website or even just do a search on YouTube, you will find another video that I cut years ago on the same subject, and it's called "The Best Way to quote achieve unquote realization." The best way to achieve realization. And it would also go into, would talk about this and give you a little bit more pointed direction. There's really just so much I can do on any video or in any post, because this is a generalized pointing, and the real teaching here is not a generalized pointing. I don't do anything general. It's specific pointing for you. It's one-to-one until it's not. But it's one-to-one like in awakening sessions. And I'm always knowing that I'm starting out with an awake being over there, because there's nothing but me over there. And that all I have to do is to get awakeness to see as clearly through that body as it's seeing through this body. And that is so much simpler than trying to wake up this unawakened clod. Yeah? Like I was when I was a seeker. I thought of myself as I was an unawakened guy, and damn it, what a bulky unit I had. No matter what I did for it, it wouldn't wake up. It never dawned on me that it didn't have the capacity to wake up. The body doesn't have the capacity to wake up. The character that you identify as does not have the capacity to wake up. Only thing that can happen is that awakeness can wake up to itself, so that it moves from unconscious awakeness to conscious. And that changes the world. It's 180 degrees different from what we expect. But man, and you don't even see how much it changes the world initially. You'll see a lot, maybe. I did, but you can't see it all in a swoop. There's no got it. There's only getting it. I don't have it. I'm getting it. And right now I'm getting it by giving it. Put yourself in the teacher's chair. You'll be surprised what happened. But don't put yourself in the teacher's chair until you've actually woken up first. Please. Okay? Unless you announce that you're not awake. If people are projecting you're awake and you're not, that's not probably a good thing for you to do. So enough of my harping. Thanks for dropping by, and I love you all. I'll see you soon.